Okay, so we are now recording. A reminder, if you have to leave or you have a team member that wasn't able to make it, we will have the video available soon. We will send the recording out as soon as possible for you to rewatch. We are still troubleshooting getting access to our company's YouTube channel. So we will notify you as soon as we have that available. Another reminder to please keep yourselves muted during the presentation unless you have a question for the presenter. There will be a time at the end of the presentation for more questions, and you can also type your questions into the chat bar. So, good morning. Thank you for being here on our second Toolbox Tuesday for the month of June. We are joined by Jean, a representative from Valor, and I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Great. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. My name is Gene Schenberg. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales for Valor PayTech. And thank you for taking time out of your day to spend a little time with me so I can show you a few things about Valor. Justin says that you're all veterans and you're familiar with Valor, and I should focus on some of the newer things today. So if you aren't familiar with Valor, I'm going to start by giving you some resources to help bring you up to speed, and also just some great resources that you can have in general. I'm sharing my screen right now, and I'm on the Valor PayTech homepage. It's just simple. Up the top, you can see valorpaytech.com. And there's just two main areas here I wanted to show you. The first is under Partners, you can see Partner Resource Center. And if I click on that, it takes me to an area where if I scroll down, you can see images for all of our products. There's quick reference guides, including some new features like our QuickBooks integration, how to set up the Rocket, dual pricing, how the card vault works, etc. There's partner brochures. These are ones that are for you that you can also use as tools, shopping cart integrations, the virtual terminal, engage my customer, all the different things that we have. There's some merchant-facing sales flyers. So if you had a need to print out or bring a sales flyer on a particular piece of hardware, you could do that. Installation guides are shopping cart integrations. So if you're not familiar, these are the shopping carts that we currently support with Valor today. And then the last one are videos. And if I click on the videos, it'll take me to an area where I can see different videos. These are also on our YouTube channel. And if I click on the videos, you can see there's videos on the hardware if you want to learn about any of our new devices, for example. And then they're on solutions, how-tos, and integrations. So the integrations actually walk you through how to integrate Valor with Magento and WooCommerce, et cetera. So it's just a really good resource for you to have at your disposal. If you need a sell sheet, you want to learn about a new piece of hardware, whatever it is, this is a great place to go. The other one is the knowledge base. And the knowledge base is actually geared for merchants or ISOs, but for this purpose, we'll just click on the merchant side. And then on the merchant side, you can see all the things that we have. Again, I want to know how to use the vault, for example. And you can see how to add a customer, how to delete a customer, how to use the data, etc. So it's a great place to find information, quick reference guides, etc. One of the things that's changed with Valor over the last year or so, if you've been with us since the beginning, is that we've really tried to focus on providing you with more tools to be able to help yourself. Realizing that you may be working on an account, really early in the morning or really late at night, and you need something and you can't find it, we're really trying to become that resource where you can go and find those things. So those are some great resources. I'm actually going to go back to, let me hit the back button a couple of times, and I'm going to go back to the Partner Resource Center, go to the product images. And one of the things you'll note here is down here towards the bottom, you'll see some new devices. You'll see a VP350, VP550, VP550E, VP800. Those are all new devices. Of those devices, the 550 and the 550E are the ones that are currently shipping. The VP800 is going to be shipping next month. And we'll make sure that your corporate office is aware of these, make sure they know the availability dates, and I'm sure as the products come out, we'll go ahead and stock them. The screen that you see right now is my VP 550. And the difference between the 500 and the 550 is that the 550 has a 6-inch screen, the 500 has a 5-inch screen. It's the same cost, faster processor, newer version of Android, slightly larger screen. We've been able to provide an updated unit versus the older unit. So the 550 series is the series that you'll likely use if you're using an Android device. You're probably familiar more with the Linux devices. This is the 110. I'm just going to kind of wave it under here so you can see it. This is what you're used to normally seeing. This one's set for dual pricing and EBT. So if I put in, again, I realize that for most of you, you know this already, but if I put in $100, you can see that the EBT amount is 100 because you don't charge tax or a cash differential. The cash price is 107 for 7% sales tax, and the card price is 111.28, which is 107 plus 4%. So your deployment office determines what your cash discount, surcharge, dual pricing, cash differential, whatever term you call it, your office determines the compliance of how those get deployed within your system, and then we just provide all the toggles to configure it any way you want to. So that's just a kind of a side thing. But if you notice on the VP 550, you'll see that I've got a card and cash price on here. And one of the things that sets our Android terminals apart from our Linux terminals is that all of our Android terminals come with light POS and light inventory. For those of you who have your cameras on, I see Brandon, Nolan, Arlen. Does everybody have to have a Y in their name to work in your company? Or it looks like I'm just kidding. There's a lot of names with Y's in them. Can you just give me a quick hand raise? Have you seen the Android terminal before? Have you seen the light POS and light inventory on the Android terminals before? Okay, so I'm going to take a second and show that to you. So on the VP 550 and all of our Android terminals, whether it's the 500, the 550, the 550E, 800, 350, and again, the 350 and 800 aren't shipping yet. If you look at any of those terminals, you'll see down here at the bottom, there's a little shopping cart. And if I tap that shopping cart, you'll see that I have items on my screen. And I have set, my demo account is Gene's Irish Pub. We serve food. So I can tap on the lunch options and I can see lunch items. I can tap on breakfast and see breakfast items. I can tap on drinks and see drink items. And I'm going to show you here in the portal where that stuff is set. But this is free included with all of our Android terminals. So it's just another potential tool in your tool bag to be able to offer this to, say, a mom and pop restaurant that might have a food truck, but they don't need a full-blown POS system. This is a tool that would potentially provide them the ability to do itemized receipts, be able to build these tickets without having to spend any extra money. It just comes with the Valor program. So I guess probably the best thing for me to do then is just to switch over to the portal and show you where some of these things are set. So this is classic portal. Sort of like old Coke and new Coke, or portal OG, and we have a new portal. I'm going to show you, I'm going to jump back and forth between them. The new portal isn't fully launched yet, but I'm going to show you basically just the differences between the portals. So you're looking at Gene's Irish Pub. This is my demo account. This looks like your average merchant account. If a merchant logged into the portal, this is what they would see when they look at their transactions. You'll notice here on the screen, you can see green approves over here. You can see one that was declined. If I hover over the decline, you can see the transaction was restricted due to ticket size. So somebody tried to run a $50,000 transaction that was above what their account was approved for, and it was declined. So if it's a card fraud, card issue, transaction limit, whatever it is, if you hover over these declines, you can see the reason that the card was declined. And this is just, again, just easy for the merchant to be able to do that. You can see the other transactions that are here. And if I look at this top one for $76.86, and I open up the receipt, you can see the itemized receipt here. There was a ham sandwich, fries, cheese sandwich, hot dog, 4 beers. You can see those on here with the customer signature. We keep receipts in the clouds for 2 years. I know that's kind of just a pretty much something everybody probably already knows, but I'm just mentioning that because 2 years is important for chargebacks and things like that. And again, you have an itemized receipt. If I'm just looking at a standard receipt without on the like the 100 series, you just get the amount, the total, cash discount, et cetera, and a signature. So if you're a business and you need an itemized receipt, whether it's a food truck or a farmer's market, or maybe I'm a nail salon and I simply want to have the ability to show whether I did a good, better, best solution or whatever it is. Simple itemized receipts to manage with managing the inventory. It's again free. There's no back kitchen printer. There's no cash drawer support. There's no, what I want to call it, modifiers that you would normally have where you can order a pizza and make a million changes. It's just a very simple, straightforward tool meant to satisfy some percentage of customers who need a solution but don't necessarily want to pay extra money, or you don't want to get them into something extra. But again, keep in mind that this is good for 100 items, maybe a small number of items. You're not going to load 2,000 liquor store SKUs in here, because when you look at the screen, I have to scroll through all the things that I have to be able to find stuff. And if I break it into categories, I have drinks, lunch items, breakfast items. The list is very small and I can move through it very quickly. So 50 or 60 SKUs across a handful of categories is easy for me to manage. Beyond that, it becomes really difficult. Where that is done is in the My Settings. So if I click on My Settings on the left side of the screen, I go to Product Settings, you can see here, looking at my terminal screen, looking at my computer screen, you can see here are the items. You can see I have 100 Mick Ultras, unit cost is $5, it's taxable, I'm inventorying it, and it's an active item. So what I can do is, if let's say my food truck has 32 count of an item, I can put the 32 items in here. And as those items get used up, it decrements to 0. And when it gets to 0, it doesn't show up on the screen. So I can't actually, it won't be there as a choice. So that's the inventory management. It's very simple. It's just to make sure that you've got enough product to cover what you have. You could put in, for example, 10,000 of everything if you don't run out. And then at the end of the month, you could look at what's left. If I have 10,000 of everything at the beginning of the month, and there's 8,000 Mick Ultras left, I know I sold 2,000 during the month. So again, very simple. It's not meant for a business to be run with robust inventory reporting and pie charts and all kinds of fancy stuff. It's just something simple for a small business to be able to use. But it's a very useful tool, and there's a lot of businesses who use this successfully, and agents have come back and said it's been a great tool. It's easy to use, easy to sell, easy to demonstrate, and again, provides another thing that perhaps sets us apart from somebody else's solution you might be offering. Under the Action tab, I can download a sample file, I can populate it with all the information, and then I can import it and suck all the items in here under one fell swoop. I don't have to add them manually. I can do it in mass here. And again, it's a very simple tool here. If anybody has any questions about this, feel free to type them in the chat box. I'll try to read those and answer them in real time. If not, you're welcome to save your questions to the end, and I will read those out loud and answer them as we have time at the end. I'm going to go back to the transactions. And again, this is the OG platform. I'm going to switch over and show you what the new one looks like. And if you see up at the top, you can see Try Beta. When I click on this, it moves me over to the beta portal. And this is what the beta portal looks like. You'll notice it's a new UI, new interface. It's a little bit more pleasing to the eye. The information is a little bit more dense on the screen. And again, same kinds of things. I can see the transactions. I can view my receipts. I can hover over the one that was red and see that it was restricted due to ticket size. So all the same things that you had in the original portal are here in the new portal. It's just laid out a little differently and a little cleaner. Other things I can do while I'm in here is, if the batch is open, I can go ahead and void the transaction. I can also issue a refund, send promotional messages if I've collected their mobile number, or I can add it to the vault I don't know if you're familiar with the vault yet, but our card vault is basically the ability to take a card that's presented anywhere in the Valor ecosystem, and from here you can add it to the card vault. Card vault is a tokenized and encrypted place where the card is saved, and then you can bring that card up later at another time to be able to run a charge. So imagine if you're a health club, you are doing a $9.95 7-day trial at your health club. Someone comes in, swipes their card, you add the card to the vault. A week later, when their week runs out, they say they'd like to convert that into a monthly subscription. You can pull that number up from the vault and then turn that into a recurring payment without having to have the customer come back in and represent their card or get their card over the phone or any of those kinds of things. So the vault is a place where the cards are stored, which is a relatively new feature. I don't know whether you've been presented that before. Great question, Albert. You took the words right out of my mouth. The next thing I wanted to tell you is that if you do have things set up for recurring transactions, and those are done here in the virtual terminal, and the card is frauded out, not necessarily canceled, but frauded out, and the number's been replaced with a new number, the card updater will automatically update that card in the system so that that card continues to process and continues to be charged. So that's it. That only happens if something happens to the card has been replaced with a new card, and then that card obviously has been updated for the customer, then it'll also update for us. There is a very tiny fee for the card updater. One thing I cannot do and will not do on any of these presentations is talk about specific pricing, simply because that's up to your office to decide how they want to bundle and package, what things they want to charge for, what things they want to eat. There's a fee when the card is updated, though. It's not a fee there's not a monthly fee or recurring fee for the service. It's only charged when a card gets updated. So you might have 1,000 cards in your business and only 2 cards get frauded out. You're only going to be charged for the 2 cards that get updated, but it's a very tiny amount. And I don't even know if PayCompass is passing that on or not. The fact that that card processes without any aggravation or chargebacks may be worth it just to eat the tiny amount and not pass it through. But again, that's a PayCompass decision, and I'm not in a position to speak to that specifically. What I will show you, though, is we are in the virtual terminal. I don't know how much time you've spent in here, but this runs like your typical virtual terminal. If you're familiar with an NMI or an auth.net or any of those kinds of things, this behaves very similarly to that. I can, for example, put in an amount that I want to charge, $250. I can put in the customer's phone number. And you'll notice that as soon as I put the phone number in, you'll see that there's 2 cards stored under my phone number. One of those cards has been canceled, and I can actually delete that from here and remove that card from the list. This card is still active, so I can check that box and I can use that card. So again, if the card's available, it will be tied to the mobile number. If there's multiple cards tied to the mobile number, you'll see the multiple cards on the list on the right side. And you'll be able to pick or ask the customer, excuse me, would you like to use the card that ends in 3918 or 9999 or whatever it is that you want to do? And I can go ahead and use that. And you can see on here, there's a customer number and a clerk ID. These are 2 user-defined fields that you can turn on or off. So I'm gonna actually jump out of this, jump into where that's changed, and then jump back to this because I think it's important for you to understand the power of the platform. So you'll see on my screen right now that there's a required field for a customer name and a clerk ID. For whatever reason, Gene's Irish Pub is requiring those 2 things when they do transactions on the virtual terminal. But let's say for some reason there's something in here the business wants or doesn't want turned on or off. I can go to device management. I can go to my virtual terminal. I can go ahead and edit the parameters. I can go down to the data collection screen, and you'll see here customer is enabled. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Clerk ID, you can see is required, additional input, and turn that one off. And I've just turned off those 2 fields. I can save that out. Now when I go back to the virtual terminal, and I go to customer information, I'm going to go ahead and put in the phone number again. And I'm going to put in the amount. Exactly the same as before. Choose the card, and you'll notice here that there's just an invoice number and an email and a description, and those are optional fields. Those two fields that were on are no longer here on the screen. Now, I'm logged in as Gene's Irish Pub. I'm logged in as the merchant. So the merchant has the ability to add two user-defined fields of whatever they want and decide whether those are required or not required fields and collect that information with each virtual terminal transaction. That information passes all the way through to the batch report also, by the way. So if you're a doctor's office or a towing company or someplace where you want to collect an additional data field, maybe it's a towing company and you want the name of the guy that drove the tow truck's name to be entered in here, that's a field that you can turn on and require for when those transactions are done. So again, sort of when I think of our platform, I think of it sort of as a box of Legos. Each of these different things is a different Lego. How you build that Lego and offer it to your merchant and how that merchant uses those Legos in their business is entirely up to them. We provide you all the Legos. How you configure it and put it together and use it is going to really, differ by business, by business, by business. Some common things will be similar across businesses, but some business might need to collect a user field. Some businesses may not. Some businesses may do a lot of recurring transactions. Some may not. Some may want to, they do deliveries, for example, and you can, if you put in the customer information, it collects the customer's address information, and we have level 2 and level 3 on TSIS. So you're going to get a better interchange optimization. You can also force that to be on all the time and just get that auto popped on TSIS as well. That's not available on Fiserv yet, but it is available on TSIS. So I can just do a sale, put in information in, run the transaction, and can be done. I can set up a recurring payment, for example. I can put in and say that it's installment program, it's monthly, it is going to be 10 installments. The amount is $500, and you can see over here on the right, as I'm putting in the information, it's showing me that that's going to be a $52 charge, which is $50 plus a 4% cash differential. So if you're doing dual pricing, surcharging, cash discounting, whatever thing you want to call it within your system, keep in mind that the Valor program, the MID is actually in the cloud. It's not in a virtual terminal. It's not in a physical terminal. It's in the cloud. So anything that touches the MID in the cloud shares those parameters. If you're set up with a 4% dual pricing program and you run it on the terminal, that terminal is going to send that information to the cloud to be processed. It's going to add the 4%. It's going to show it on the screen and process. But the batch and all the information is kept in the cloud. So if that terminal is turned off at the end of the day, it's still going to batch out because the batch is in the cloud, not in the terminal. You don't lose batches in the Valor environment because the batches are in the cloud. But if that MID is set up at 4% and the virtual terminal touches that MID, it's going to be the same 4%. If I'm using WooCommerce connected to that MID, WooCommerce is going to add 4%. If I'm using it with anything that touches that MID, even if it's a POS solution that you've connected to the Valor system in a semi-integrated manner, you're still going to get that 4% because that's where how the MID is set up. And all these different things are just different ways to touch the MID. So I hope that makes sense. And I realize for some of you, you know that already, but it's just a really important thing to stress. So I can do recurring payments in here as well. And again, if the recurring payments are set in here and that card is frauded out, the card number would be automatically updated and the rest of that subscription installments would continue. E-invoicing is another great feature in our system. E-invoicing is done in two ways. One way is a one-to-one. I'm going to send a text to a customer with a payment link. They're going to pay the link, click the link, make the payment. It's a one-to-one payment. The other one is our Pay Now link, which is our equivalent of a hosted payment page. So in a hosted payment page example, I'll click the Pay Now link. I'm going to, let's just say it's a church, for example. So a church wants to create a Pay Now link. They want to embed it in a button. They want to put it on their website. They want to be able to send it out with their customers' tithing statements or whatever. So I'm going to make the amount flexible. I'm going to set it to expire at the end of the year, simply so that everybody's taxes are aligned properly. And I'm going to call it a donation. And then I'm going to leave these other fields blank. And I'm going to go ahead and process the payment. So now you can see the Pay Now link was generated. I can copy that link and I can embed it in a button. I can put it on a website. I can email it to people, whatever I want to use it for. I can copy it and paste it someplace. But I'm going to go ahead and click it so you can see what the landing page looks like. Now, obviously at the top, it would be the name of the religious organization. The donation amount, I can put in a $200 donation. Because I have this set as a pub, you're going to see that there's a tax and there's tipping, and obviously you don't do that with a religious organization, so you would turn those things off. But you can see, you get the idea. So I can put that in here. You'll also notice at the bottom the amount is 222 because it added 4% for taking the credit card as well in that amount. So in a normal case, it wouldn't be 214 plus the 4%, it would just be 200. And if the religious organization is doing a cash discount program and passing the fee to the parishioners, they would set it up that way as well. Put in the information, run the card, etc. Very simple. It behaves like you'd expect it would. So I'm going to go ahead and press OK and go back out of this. QR codes behave just like you'd expect them to. I can generate a QR code for $50. Let's go back to Gene's Irish Pub, and we're going to do a raffle to give a prize away, and we're raising money for I don't know, the local veterans administration or office or whatever fundraiser I'm doing. I put in $50. I put in the raffle. I process the payment. Now I have a QR code. In this case, I added tax and the 4%. But now I can take that QR code, I can put it on a placard, I can embed it in social media posts, I can send it to people, they can click that and buy their raffle tickets and have that functionality as well. So the couple of people who are on camera, are these things new to you, or are these things you've all seen already? Just nod if it's new, shake your head no if you've seen it all already. Okay, good. All right. Fair enough. All right. So those are some things there. I'm going to jump back to the mobile app. I see a couple of you are on camera. Thumbs up if you've seen the rocket demonstrated already. Thumbs down if you haven't seen the rocket demonstrated. Okay, have not seen the rocket before. So let's take a minute and talk about the rocket. So I'm going to move my 550 off camera. I'm going to turn on my rocket, slide it in camera. This is the rocket. This is available to you. This is a Bluetooth EMV reader. I'm going to slide a pack of playing cards next to it so you can get an idea of the size. It is not a tiny calculator, as you might surmise by looking at it. It does allow you to do EBT and PIN debit. So we're the only device in the industry that does EBT and PIN debit from a Bluetooth reader like this. Most of our competitors, they look like little pet rocks where you can dip, tap, or swipe, but you can't do anything else besides that. The other thing that sets us apart from our competitors, at least from my perspective, is we don't have a per user fee. So if you have a plumbing company with 10 technicians, you pay one fee for the virtual terminal, and then you add 10 technicians to the virtual terminal, and they all have the ability to use the rocket, 10 rockets, one flat fee. Some of our competitors have a per user fee. So each time you add a user, there's another monthly tiny amount that gets added to the account. We don't do that. So we're very price competitive in that respect. And whether there's one technician or 100 technicians, it's the same flat virtual terminal fee that you would pay using our system. So I'm going to go ahead and slide the deck of cards out. I'm going to go ahead and light up the Valor Pay mobile app. I'm going to slide that in here and I hope you can see that. So this is the mobile app. And if you look at my transaction screen, you'll see the transactions that were in here, and particularly this one that was rejected. You can see that that's available right here too. You can see that it's in red. Maybe you can't read all the details, but you can see that it's rejected. The mobile app is also free. There's an iOS and Android version. It mirrors what you see in the portal. I have the ability in here, if the virtual terminal is turned on, to go ahead and do an e-invoice. be able to create virtual terminal transactions. And if I have my system set to manually batch, I can actually batch from the mobile app when I want to manually batch as opposed to auto batch at the end of the day. The other thing I can do here is I can click on the MPOS, which is the mobile POS device, and I can go ahead and do that. Allow. It now asks me which device I want to connect to. In this case, I only have one, but if I'm sitting in an office with 10 technicians with 10 rockets, it's going to want to make sure I connect to the right one, and it's the last 4 digits of the number here. These two are now connecting. I have not connected my rocket in quite some time, so it needed a second to update. And now I'm going to go ahead and put in a $100 transaction. Again, you can see the numbers are the same as they were on the 110 for EBT, cash, and card. I'm going to go ahead and hit the next button. It's now asking me to present a card. Because the two devices are right next to each other, it's expecting me to Apple Pay. But if this was separated more than a few inches, it would allow me to present my credit card like I would in a normal environment. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click to pay and hope it will see my face and process this at the same time. Rats. And it goes ahead and finishes the transaction. I then can put in a tip amount as if I was normally tipping, hit the next button, put in my mobile number, hit the next button and pay. How's my service today? That's part of Engage My Customer. I have my receipt, press OK, and the transaction completes. So the telephone screen looks just like the credit card screen would on a regular terminal. The difference is that the card is taken with the rocket, and that's simply how the rocket works. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. And then you can see here that I was texted my receipt. And you can see here's the receipt for the transaction that I just did on the rocket. So that's how the rocket works. Let me go ahead and move this back out of the way. Put my terminal back in here. And then I'm going to show you one more thing. And then I'm going to open it up to questions. I see the question came in, would it be perfect for a pizza shop with multiple delivery folks? The answer is yes, for a variety of reasons. It's good for any business where you want to take a credit card out in the field. So any place that you want to take a credit card out in the field, whether it's tow truck, pizza delivery, any place where you're out in the field, the Rocket's a perfect device. Because I have the ability to be able to take a credit card and have it be a card present transaction out in the field using the phone. I'm reluctant to do this, but I'm going to anyway, I wouldn't say against my better judgment, but let me turn off the Rocket here for a second. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to tease a new feature that's coming that nobody's actually seen yet. I think between me and the developers internally, nobody outside of my office has ever seen this feature before. So I'm not going to go through it completely because I don't know that it fully works, and no good demo is perfect without something crashing or breaking. So I'm doing this at the risk of it not working, but I'm going to just take a quick second and show you this. Hopefully this will work. So I'm going to go ahead and do an e-invoice. And on the e-invoice, I'm going to put in the amount, say it's $200. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. Say I'm a towing company and I've towed a car and it's $200, and I need to prove from a chargeback request that I actually have the car on the tow truck and I'm going to tow it away, so that I have proof that I have the car in my possession of the towing company. If you go on the mobile app right now, you won't see this. But if I hit done here and scroll up, you can see down here, add image. I'm hoping that shows up on your screen. This is going to be in the next release. You'll be able to add images to the mobile transactions. So if you're a tow truck, you can add a picture of the tow truck. If you're almost like like Amazon, when you get a delivery from Amazon, they take a picture and they show the package at your front door. We're basically adding that same version of functionality to the mobile app. So if you're a delivery service, you can show a picture of it at the door. If you're a tow truck company, you can show it being added, a picture of the car on the tow truck. So this down here at the bottom is brand new. If you download the mobile app today, this won't be here, but I have the ability to then add an image and it works just like you'd expect it would. I could choose a photo from the library. I could take a picture and capture it. It'll actually be attached to the transaction. And then when I come here in the portal and open it up and look at the transaction, I'll actually be able to see the photos down here at the bottom and click on them. And I can use that if I have a chargeback request or any issues like that. So that's just a little tease that literally is brand new. I just was shown that a couple of weeks ago. It's not live yet, but it will be coming up in a new release. And I think that's, it's just going to make the mobile app and the Rocket much more valuable of a tool to be able to use out in the field. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that transaction. I have one last thing I'm going to show you, unless Nolan or Albert, your cameras are on. Have you guys spent any time with Engage My Customer? Are you familiar with that feature? Thumbs up or thumbs down? 2 head shakes, no. I'm going to take a minute and show you. It's not fully functional yet in the new portal. So I'm going to go back to the OG portal and I'm going to go to Engage My Customer. Now, Engage My Customer, if you think about this, every merchant today spends some money on customer acquisition. Groupons, Advo mailers, Red Plum, Grubhub, whatever it is, that's a delivery, but they pay for it. Every business spends money acquiring customers, but they spend no money keeping their customers. And once you have a customer, it's easier to keep one than it is to get one in the first place. So when you see in the checkout process, when I run through a transaction, let me just do that here real quick, and I'll use this terminal probably because it's faster. I'm going to go ahead and put in $100. I'm going to tap my card. It's processing. I'm going to sign my name. I'm going to put in a tip, press OK. The next screen asks me for a phone number. I'm going green. I'm not printing a receipt. I'm collecting the mobile number. And you saw that before on the other screen. And then there's a little survey that asks how I liked my business today. And that's going to complete. That process right there took just a couple of seconds, but I captured the customer's mobile number during the checkout process. And now I have, if I go to the Engage My Customer tab, I have phone numbers for every customer who's been into my business, and I've got their list. And if I wanted to, I could check the all button and I could create a promotional message, and I can have in here whatever I want it to be, closed for the holidays. This is a message I created in advance. And I can send that message to every one of my customers via text message. I could also send them a message that says, Friday special, come in for half off appetizers, good all day on Friday. If I'm a business and my numbers are off a little bit and I want to bump my numbers up, what better way than to send a text message to my customers and say, hey, come in, I've got a promotion for you. Didn't cost any money. I didn't have to spend. I don't have to give 40% of my revenue to Groupon for a coupon. Didn't have to pay for the coupon. I get to keep all the revenue from that promotion. If you're a business owner and you can send one good promotion a month to your customers and get that customer to come in one extra time a year, you've literally given that merchant 13 months worth of revenue in a 12-month window. And if that business is doing $50,000 a month in processing, they've now generated an extra $50,000 a year in additional revenue simply by sending one good text message a month and getting that customer to come in one extra time a year. And if you're wrong by half, it's $25,000 using that example. What merchant's ever going to leave you again and go someplace else and give up that $25,000 and start over with some other competing platform just to save a couple of basis points and or maybe get a shiny new terminal? At the end of the day, it's all about the money and the revenue, and you've solved for attrition. So if your book of business, the industry standard is 20% attrition. I'm guessing you guys have a lower percentage just because you know that how you guys treat your customers and your quality of business. But let's assume it's 20%. You have to sell 20% more every year just to keep your book flat to solve for attrition. If it's 10%, you have to grow 10% every year to solve for attrition. If you offer them this kind of a program, and promotions are created in the promotions tab, I'm just going to click on a simple one just to show you an example of what it looks like. Groundhog, see a shadow. I'm going to add an image, pick the groundhog picture. So now I'm going to send that message out as a text to free appetizers for Groundhog Day. If I send out one good promotion a year and I can cut my attrition from 20% to 10%, and I still do that same growth every year, my book's now growing by 10% because I've solved for attrition. If I had 10% attrition, I can go to 5% attrition. Just selling the same amount, my book grows 5% every year by solving for attrition by doing that. It's just a really powerful feature. It's easy to use, it's easy to sell, it's easy to demonstrate, and businesses will understand the power of this simply by using a simple example by having the growth. Okay, so we've got 18 minutes left, give or take. I see a couple questions coming in. Demo on the app to download. We do have everything I've shown you today is done through our demo portal, through our demo installation. Your corporate office has the ability to create and give you demo accounts. So you can do these demonstrations in the field live if you want to. What you're looking at on my screen is just my browser window on Chrome, but this could be a MacBook, a laptop, a PC, a tablet, anything that can open a browser window and get to the demo URL, you could demo on. So you could bring a demo terminal and an iPad with a SIM card in it, connected to the demo portal, and you could demo this for a merchant, very simply. Push that up through your management channel. Ask for the demo account if you want one. That will focus everything back through them. They can create the demo accounts. Demo accounts can include a terminal or not include a terminal. They may choose to charge you for that. Again, that's their business, not mine. But you do have the ability to do demonstrations and things like that through our demo devices. Just know that demo devices are always demo devices. This terminal you see is a demo terminal. It can never be made into a live terminal, which is great for sales calls, but you can't repurpose it and give it to a customer later. They're built differently. But they're great sales tools, and they pay for themselves in spades if you just close a couple accounts, being able to demonstrate to the merchant how some of these things work, particularly when you get to things like the inventory and the light POS and things like that. But again, you know your customers, you know what your strengths are. You can decide whether you need a terminal to help you close sales or not, sell sheets or not. It's entirely, you guys are professionals, you know what you need. We just try to provide you all the tools to choose from to be able to close an account. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to take a break and take a sip here so I can breathe for a second, because I sometimes forget to do that when I'm just talking like this. And let's open it up to questions.
I have a question, Gene.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when you guys first started, I was so into the VL110, which is the wireless handheld.
Right.
Those machines are nice or neat, but they started crashing suddenly, like 2-3 times a day. Have you guys done anything to remedy that?
So it's interesting that you say that, because this is the first time I've ever heard that there's been any crashing issues with the 110. So the fact that you're having it is new to me. I would make sure that goes through customer service. The one thing I will tell you that's the most common reason that we have any issues is that the software hasn't been updated in the terminal.
Okay.
So one of the things you can do is pull up the information here. You can tap this little headset, for this little person at the bottom of the screen, and it shows you on here. Let me slide this out. It shows you all the version numbers of everything in the terminal. So what I might recommend doing is, if you've had a terminal crash, is I would press *6, get that version number. If you look here on our website, up here at the top, there's a toll-free number. You can call our customer service, or you can report to your customer service, and you can say, hey, I've got a Valor 110. It's got version number 1.3.49. Is that the latest version? They may say, no, it's on to 52. And then you can say, hey, can you update this terminal for me? And they're gonna say, what's the EPI number? You'll press *6. That's going to give you the EPI number. That's the word, like a TID, if you're familiar with the terminal ID, or every device has its own unique number. You can give them that number, tell them to do the update, and they can do that update remotely. Because the batch is in the cloud and it's not in the terminal, you can actually update the terminal in real time during the day and not worry about losing a batch. You don't have to close the batch before you update our terminals like you do some other terminals. And that potentially the problem will be solved.
All right. Well, the reason I'm mentioning is because they were turning off, then they weren't turning on. We had to take out the battery. Eventually, I ended up switching from VL110 to the VL100, because those remind me of the deja vu Z8s.
Right.
And
right.
That's where we at right now with this 6th location.
Right. Well, just keep in mind that you'll hear this from them, so I probably shouldn't bring it up, but the Z series is sunsetting. And while our terminals look similar, they're cloud-based, and they don't sunset. So just keep that in mind.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure. Let's see. Can user credentials be assigned for management or bookkeeping staff with filters to add or remove what they can see? Mary, that's a great question. I'm going to go to the OG portal simply because it's easier for me to navigate, and I know everything's working in it. I've logged in again, Gene's Irish Pub. So I'm logged in as the business owner or the merchant using this account. I go to user management. I'm going to add a new user, it's operator in this case. I put in their information. I have some advanced control here on which devices they have access to, if any. And then when I go to modules, these are the modules that I can turn on or off for any individual user. So let's say it's a towing company. I want each customer to be able to log in, each technician to log in, but I don't want them to be able to see transactions, contact us, engage my customers, tickets, promotions, or the vault. I just want them to have access to the virtual terminal. So when they log in, all they can do is use the Rocket. But I don't want them to be able to do refunds. I don't want them to be able to add cash to the transactions. And I don't want to be able to allow them to convert that to a recurring payment. By just checking virtual terminal and turning off all those boxes, when that technician logs into their account, they're just going to be able to use the Rocket to process transactions. No other thing will be available to them. Say for some reason, I don't know, I've hired my partner's kid to do my social media for me on my business. I only want them to have access to engage my customers and the promotions tab, nothing else in the system. I don't want to be able to touch transactions, see transactions. I just want them to be able to create promotions and send promotions out and do nothing else. I turn those 2 boxes on and now have somebody who only has the ability to do that. So that is how you set up the credentials in the system. And I can just do this for as many users as I want in the system. So however I set them up, that's how I do that. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay. Is there anything else that anybody wants to see? Is there something that you've heard of?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Nolan.
Is Valor just for agents, or is this something we partner on with business owners? Do they have access to it and we kind of use it together?
So
Forgive me, I'm new.
Yeah, that's fine. So what you're looking at here is the merchant portal. So the merchant would log in and see this. You as the agent technically could get a demo unit, a demo portal without a unit, and you could have this to demonstrate and show merchants if you want to. At the same time, you could log in with the merchant and walk them through this if there's things in here you want to show them from a feature standpoint as you're selling it.
Okay.
But this is the merchant facing portal. There really isn't an agent portal. There's an ISO portal. So if I log out as the merchant and I log in as the ISO, I now am looking at this as the ISO portal. And I still see transactions here, but in this case now I see it for Gene's Irish Pub, and every transaction for every terminal and every device I have deployed as an ISO would show up on this list. So at the ISO level, I see everything that's in my system. At the merchant level, I only see merchant. Now, by the same token, I have the ability here to be able to add users, and I can add a user here in my system. And when I add a user, now I have the ability to have access modules for the users at the ISO level. So if I wanted to, for example, my support people can only maybe have access to remote diagnostics and device management. My accounting people might have access to merchant management and transactions. But you as the agent, we might be able to give you access to transactions. So maybe, for example, if an agent, if PayCompass wanted to give the agents the ability to come into the account, they could turn off the users, remote diagnostics, contact us, merchant management, device management, support, Valor, Shield, and settings, and just allow you to see transactions. So when you logged in, you could see all of the transactions for your merchants that you've got signed up in the account, for example. But again, this would be a PayCompass decision on whether they wanted to allow agents the ability to have that access. It might be, they might prefer you just call in and have somebody in the office look it up for you than have you in the account trying to look them up yourself.
So typically they don't.
It varies by ISO office. So some ISO offices let the agents buy their own terminals and build their own files and do their own deployment. But the main office still provides customer service and billing and all the other features. It's just up to each ISO office how they want to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I just have a very simple, quick question.
Sure.
Are the voids or refunds, can they be done on the portal like some
Absolutely.
virtual terminals can? You don't have to call in?
No, absolutely. So if I'm in James Irish Pub, again, I'm logged in as the merchant, and I come over here to this drop-down box, I can void the transaction and issue a refund right here from the portal.
Without having to call in for the.
Correct. The merchant has the ability to do this anytime they want to. If the batch is closed, they obviously can't void the transaction, but they have the ability to issue a full or partial refund.
Correct. Awesome.
From the portal. Any other questions? Okay, well, any other features? Okay, hearing none, it's 53 minutes after the hour. Is there anything that you want to close with or anything that you need to cover from a housekeeping standpoint on your end?
Not much. If there isn't any further questions, we can go ahead and conclude our second Toolbox Tuesday for the month of June. Everybody, thank you for joining us. As mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, this call was recorded and it will be uploaded as soon as possible. We will make sure to get you notified. Thank you, Jean, for being with us here today. And if there isn't anything else,
One more thing. One more, sorry to jump in. We had a last second question come in. Does it integrate with QuickBooks? The answer is yes. We have QuickBooks integration support. It's through QuickBooks Online only. So you can create an invoice in the virtual terminal and it will populate into QuickBooks. You can create an invoice into QuickBooks and we'll send it out through the virtual terminal. And that's available if you go to the Partner Resource Center and you go to the partner brochures, I believe. Down here at the bottom, you will see QuickBooks, and there's a brochure on QuickBooks, how to set it up and how it gets used.
So it's not exporting or importing. It actually integrates and pulls the numbers automatically, automated?
Yes, that is true. It's fully automated. Now you can export anything out of the portal into a CSV file, import it someplace else, but this is a native QuickBooks integration where it's done automatically and the two are connected. So sorry, last minute question. You can go ahead and wrap now.
no worries. All right. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and we will all see you soon. Take care.